INRAF was formed in 2005, late 2005, and we have been taking various actions to address the issues affecting particularly the poor and underclass Indian community in Malaysia. On 30th August 2007, on behalf of the descendants of the Indian indentured labourers, I had filed a class action at the London High Court to seek reparations for descendants of the Indian community in Malaysia, and the suit was actually filed on the eve of Malaysia's 50th year independence celebration. The main idea of the suit was to hold Britain accountable for its colonial wrong. We have been made, when I say we, I mean the Indian community in Malaysia have been made a permanently colonialized community in Malaysia. And we have been, and despite having achieved independence for 50 years, we were treated as second-class citizens. We do not understand the meaning of independence. We do not have a country. We do not have a sense of belonging. We do not have equality in rights and dignity. Subsequent to the filing of the civil action, there were various roadshows held in Malaysia to explain to the Indian community on the civil action. And to our surprise, large number of Indians have come out in support of the action. This sent shivers to the Malaysian government, and they came hard on INRAF activities. They had prevented various roadshows from taking place, but despite that, it went on, and on November 25th, 2007, there was a large gathering in Kuala Lumpur where close to 100,000 Indians came to the streets to witness the submission of a memorandum of appeal to Her Majesty the Queen. This gathering was met with violence by the Malaysian government. Thousands of the INRAF well-wishers who were present were attacked with tear gas and water cannon. And there was a massive crackdown on INRAF activities. On the 28th of November, I had left initially for India, and a week later to London to begin my international campaign for and on behalf of the marginalized Malaysian Indian community. During this period, I had traveled extensively in Europe, to Belgium, Holland, the EU Parliament in Brussels, the USA, of course the UK, the United Nations in Geneva, and have also met with various international human rights organizations, including Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, etc. And for the first time, the violations of human rights in Malaysia was exposed to the international community. And this did not go well with the Malaysian government. Various representations were made to the Malaysian government. And sometime in March 2008, while I was traveling in Europe, the Malaysian government had revoked my passport, my international passport, and had communicated the revocation to the British government, and had also entered in their computer system. There's a particular chip in the computer which reads my particulars wherever and which part of the world I go to. And when I returned from Geneva on the 19th of April 2008, I was informed at the Gatwick airport that something was wrong with my passport. And 2 days later, on the 21st of April, it was confirmed by the British Home Office that the Malaysian government had revoked my passport. The intentions of the revocation was clear, that they had wanted me back because they had also wanted to arrest me under the Internal Security Act. And the second reason was to prevent me from traveling to the countries that I mentioned earlier to campaign for the cause of the Indian poor in Malaysia. I have then had no choice but to apply for political asylum in the UK, and I was granted a status or rather 5 months later. And since then, I've been traveling with my international travel document issued under the Geneva Convention, which I have brought with me today, which is here. And again, with this document, I've traveled to many countries campaigning for the cause of the Indian community. On the 2nd July 2012, I had refiled my civil action. There were some complications after the crackdown on INRAF, and I was not able to pursue the case that I filed in 2007. And with the refiling of the civil action against the British government, and also with the setting up of a legal team to conduct the case, I had then announced on the 2nd of July that I am ready to return home, and I had urged the Malaysian government to return my international passport. Representations were made on my behalf by various organizations, and with the assistance of Mr. Suresh Grover, I had sought the assistance of a member of parliament from Britain, Mr. Jeremy Corbyn, who also sits in the Malaysian caucus, and he had directly communicated with the Malaysian embassy. And my solicitor Ram Narayanasamy had also sent communications through the embassy on an urgent basis to return my passport. An emergency meeting were held at the embassy last Friday, and due to technicalities, especially involving my identity card, because I do not have a Malaysian identity card on me, or even my birth certificate, it could not be processed in London on Friday. However, I proceeded with my plans to travel on Saturday, 28th, and arrived in Singapore on the 29th. And yesterday, I made a fresh application at the Malaysian High Commission in Singapore. The same issues were raised, and the Malaysian government were about to issue me with an emergency travel document, which I denied. I had insisted through my solicitor that my lost dignity has to be restored by revoking my passport and urging the British government to remove my passport from me was an act of betrayal by the Malaysian government, and it robbed me of my dignity. Yesterday, I was issued with a new passport, the Malaysian passport, and now I feel that I am a citizen, a truly Malaysian citizen. With this issuing of the passport, though I am upset with the Malaysian government, I think INRAF has been vindicated. I think all the allegations against INRAF, all the malicious allegations against INRAF was uncalled for, and it is time for the Malaysian government to realize their mistake and to remove the ban imposed on INRAF. I will be travelling back to Malaysia tomorrow via Johor Bahru crossing by land with my well-wishers, and I expect there may be arrest at the border, and I and my members from INRAF are prepared for any eventualities. I've always maintained that INRAF struggle is a just and democratic struggle for the poor Malaysians, for the poor Indian Malaysians. And in the event of my arrest tomorrow, INRAF would always continue as it has, under the guidance of Mr. Ganesan, who is the advisor, and we have our national coordinator Sambulingam, Selvam, and the rest. Our struggle continues, and what we seek for is justice, equality in rights and dignity, and not mercy of the Malaysian government. I don't think that duty lies on me to win back support for the opposition. But in the last elections, I had personally made an appeal to the Indian community to vote for the opposition en bloc. And that was, and now after almost 5 years, if the people are moving back towards the government, then there must be something seriously wrong with the opposition, which they have to look into. For the first time, with the support of the Indian community, they won big. At that time, they won 5 states. Half of the government was with them. Of course, they lost Perak in between. But I would say 40% of the government is ruled by the opposition. And if the Indian votes are going back to Barisan, then they must have done something wrong. It is for them to assess the situation. I do not know. I have to go back and personally look into it and talk to my people and see what actually went wrong. We don't have any membership. You will see within the next few weeks how big Indra is. As I said, it is truly a people's movement. And whenever injustices take place, it is Indra that stands up. As I said, I have to really assess the situation when I go back and decide after consulting my people. We shouldn't have any problem because we work for the poor people, and anyone who supports the cause of the poor shouldn't have a problem with us. I don't think we have any problem with them as well. They are going to address. As I said, 40% of the government is ruled by the opposition, 60% by the government. We are both governments.